Alright, so here on the table we have the Hitbox Cross up. It's pretty obvious what we're going to be taking a look at today. It's probably going to be in the thumbnail. It's going to be on something. You're going to see what it is. I and my friend decided to do the alpha program, so uh, luckily we split it between us, and I managed to get into the alpha program, and I got myself a cross up. They sent this about a couple of weeks ago, a couple Thursdays ago, I believe, and I got to test it all the last couple of weeks, and I have my thoughts on it, and we're going to take a look at that after we talk about merchandise. If you go down to the Teespring link down in the description and also down on the screen, you can go pick up yourself one of our t-shirts, hoodies, whatever. We got mugs. We got a bunch of whole line of merch and what have you. And anything that you get will help support the channel and future projects and other things for the channel, mostly. Anyway, go down to the Teespring store. It was a teespring.com/stores/electric apparel, something like that. And yeah, anything that you can do will help. This is the cross-up. For those of you who don't know what the cross-up is, it is basically a what happens if a hitbox and a stick were in a room together and they created this abomination of a stick. It's pretty cool. They announced this back on I think it was a week before EVO this year in 2019. This is probably one of the last videos to come out before 2019 ends. But they announced it like a week before EVO, and then they had a Kickstarter for it the EVO weekend, I believe, or it was a week after. I can't exactly remember. But they did do this. It got incredibly funded. Like, I think it was like 200% funded, but I digress. This thing came to my doorstep a couple of weeks ago, and I've been able to test it ever since. And I have my thoughts on it, and I really don't think it's the cheating box that everybody says it is, and I'll explain why. We're just going to go ahead. I'm going to talk about the unboxing first. How do I do these? I haven't done a brand new peripheral in a long ass time. So anyway, the unboxing was pretty good. I don't know if this is just for the alpha program or if this is what the $200 production model cross-up is going to have, but it came in a good box. It was well secured. It comes with its own little carrying case. It's like this Hitbox carrying case thing, probably made for the cross-up. I don't know if it was. I know they had one for the Hitbox, but I don't know if this is just cross-up specific. It comes with a really nice braided USB cable that you plug into consoles. It comes with another USB cable you plug into the side that you use it to plug into the computer. I think that's for the software that you use to remap controls and whatnot. It came with a bunch of other stuff. It came with this nice little pamphlet that thanked the alpha backers, and it shows you all the different modes and stuff that you can get into. And with mine specifically, it came with its own clear plexiglass, so that might be a cool project in the future, taking off the black plexi and then replacing it with a clear one and some artwork. But yeah, overall the unpacking experience is pretty good, pretty standard, and you get to see that, you know, the stick comes pretty safe. The one thing that I will say is that I don't know if it's just because they did it loose in shipping or whatnot, but this ball top was kind of loose and it unscrewed a couple of times while I was messing around with it. That, I don't know, maybe they just didn't tighten it, but it's not that hard to just go in and fix that. And so yeah, after unboxing, or after taking out of its case and all that, you can see what it looks like. It is a very long boy. It is probably about as long as the dragon is back there, minus the sides. So it's a good, you know, I want to say it's a good almost, what, couple foot? It's probably about 18-inch long stick. 18-inch long. So yeah, it's pretty long. It's pretty durable. It's actually made out of some really good steel. I think it's steel or aluminum. I honestly didn't look into it, but it's a metal case. It's pretty well built, and let's just go ahead and talk about the things I like first, because there are definitely some drawbacks to this thing, and I'll explain that later, but let's talk about the good first. The good is that you've got your standard Sanwa parts. You got JLF, you got your OBS X, or whatever, OBS F, yeah, F, I haven't had to say these names in a while, but you got your standard Sanwa parts. The one difference is that you've got 4 additional Sanwa 30mm. You got it for the D-pad basically. So you got the 3, you got your forward, back, you got your forward, back, down, and then you got your up. And you got, yeah, that's pretty much it for the buttons and stuff. One of the things that it has that I really like is the whole back is this non-slip material. It covers the entire back of the cross-up, something I wish they had done with the Hitbox, and I'm glad they're doing it now with the cross-up. I don't know if they did it with the new PS4, Xbox One versions of the Hitbox. I just know that they didn't do it on the original Hitboxes, and they're doing it on the cross-up, so good on them. That's actually one of my favorite additions, especially if you're a lap player. If you're sitting on a table, it doesn't really matter too much, especially since it has these little feet that are raised up a little bit above that non-slip material, so it'll grip to any surface and it won't move unless, you know, you have the strength of Superman or some shit. The next thing is that it's got your typical PS4 support. It's got a PS4 pad or board in there, PS3, PS4 Brook board, I believe, the old square ones, the green PCBs, and those are connected to other daughter boards, and I'll talk about that when we look at the inside. It's got your 4 buttons up here for start, select, or was it PS Home, start, options, share, and the touchpad. I keep saying start and select because at this point I'm a boomer. And so it's got, so we're going to talk about the other features that it has. I don't know where I'm going with this. It's got basically connections for you to plug into the computer, as well as ways to set and save your profiles. Again, like I said, you plug it into software. I didn't mess with it too much, mainly because I'm just playing it on Tekken. If I was playing it on the Switch, which I think this thing does work for, it says, yeah, one of the modes in there is for in the pamphlet is for the Switch. Then there is one that lets you set it to the Switch apparently. But yeah, there's software that you can download, and that'll go through all that. But that'll probably be something you guys look at in the future. What else is good? What else do I like? I like the way that the quick disconnect for the cable is. Whereas cable, it came with a really nice braided cable. I really like when people put braided cables. That is actually quality. So it just kind of just slides in. If I can remember which way it goes. I cannot, actually. I am just 200% done right at this moment. Anyway, clicks in like that. I mean, it looks like one bad encounter and it could probably break this thing, but it's pretty good so far. I haven't had any issues with it, and it's just going to stay like that for now. The cross-up is, of course, you know, if you want to play it like a standard stick, it's great. If you want to play it like the way it's intended with all the extra buttons, it is also good, but I guess the inside, the modability, and just trying to open this thing up. Opening it up is pretty easy. It's just 6 screws. The 2 screws in the middle are TR10s, and then the other ones are just standard Phillips. Take those out, and then you get access to the back. There's a lot of space in there. The cable management is pretty nice. You know, it's not all over the place, but at the same time, it's not 100% neat. But, you know, it's clean enough. It does its job. It's got that PS4 board that I was talking about, and it's attached to like 2 daughter boards. One of them is for the profiles, like I mentioned before, and then the other one, I'm not sure what that's for. It's probably just extra connections to work on like the Switch and stuff like that. I would assume something like that. I haven't really delved too much into the internals and all that. I just know that it lets you work. It lets it work on the Switch, PS3, and PS4. That's if you do want to mod it in the future, it's actually pretty good. I would say you'll be able to mod it pretty easily with new buttons and all that, which I might do. I do have some parts laying around. I might be able to throw in some crowns and stuff like that and test it out that way. So look forward to that. That might be a potential video in the future. But we're going to now take a look at the gameplay, and then I'm going to tell you kind of the things that I don't like about the cross-up. So go ahead and take a look at that, and we'll get right back here, I guess. let's go ahead and let's talk about how this thing, like, it's good. I'll just get right to it. It's a good stick for $200. It's pretty, for what it's going to be at $200, I would say it's a good stick. You know, it's just as good. It may not have all the fancy features like a Quanba, Obsidian, or Razer, or whatever, but it's a good stick. If you want to use it that way, it's a great stick. The problem that I have is that all these people, when this thing came out, were toting it as this big major cheater box. And while it definitely does give you a lot of advantages like the Hitbox does, I find it hard to believe that this thing will give you the competitive and executional advantage over any of your other opponents. Because while I was playing on this thing, I played this thing for a while, and in the session where I showed you all the footage of me playing Tekken 7, I ended up like, that was like a 30-minute session right there on top of all the other times I played it. That's just when I decided to record. And I played for about 30 minutes, and while yes, it can be good at helping you get easier execution, omens on 1 and 2 player side were pretty easy, electrics were pretty easy and consistent. The problem is that your hand will cramp very damn easy, especially if you're like me and you've got small hands. I have small hands, and I've had surgery on this hand before. You guys remember in 2017, I had carpal tunnel. I had surgery on this thing, and the stretch from these 30mm buttons really cramps up the right hand when you're trying to do one button electrics or one button or one input omens, you know, the way that you have to do it. Trying to do things like Korean backdashing and all that, the 30mm button spacing is way too wide, in my opinion, for something like this stick. I think it would have fared better had these D-pad buttons been 24mm, or heck, even leave these 30mm and make the actual 8 buttons 24. Or maybe just all of them 24. I'm not sure what exactly would make this more tolerable, but not only did it cramp my hand a few times, when I was trying to input a lot of things, like trying to go for electric or trying to do just some kind of input, if I had to go up and touch one of these directional buttons with like the 2 button, the way that my hand moves to hit those buttons, sometimes I would accidentally get throw. And that's because I'm hitting 4 on accident. I'm hitting the circle button on accident, just because I have to do these kinds of stretches just to get to these upper buttons. And then a lot of the times, because I'm not fairly used to it yet, I would go back down thinking, or I would start doing inputs thinking that I would start doing directional inputs when I thought I was actually on the 4 face buttons for Tekken. And it's just really weird. It's something that you have to get used to. That's like the major complaint, is I feel that the buttons are too big, and that it's not really going to give, like, for people with bigger hands, it's probably better. This probably fares a lot better for you if you have longer hands than me. Like, if your fingers are longer, this probably isn't an issue. But for somebody like me, it is an issue. It's hard to input stuff. It's sometimes hard to do it. Like, if I'm trying to do electrics, or if I'm trying to do stuff, it can be complicated. It can accidentally be hitting extra buttons that I didn't want to. The other thing is that it doesn't make doing things easier. It made some just frames easier. Like I said, Omen, Electric, those things were pretty simple. But my dumbass decided, hey, let's try and do some Brian stuff. Let's try and do some taunt things. And the first thing I tried was taunt jet upper. And I tried a billion different ways I could think of, and I could not get taunt jet upper to come out. I'm not consistent with Brian in taunt jet upper. I think I've only done it twice in my entire Tekken career. So I wasn't expecting to be able to do that anyway. But it was fun kind of trying to experiment and see what you could do with one hand. So I was able to do things like taunt back 4 with one hand. I found ways to, just hit taunt and then do back 4 at the same time, and that was kind of fun. It was also kind of fun trying to figure out alternate ways to do like Omen. I found like one of the easiest ways for me to do Omen, besides the standard forward, neutral, and then hitting all 3 buttons, the forward, the down, and 1, was to do forward on the stick and then hit forward down. Just do that. Do the second input. Just not hit forward on this button, but hit it on the stick and hit the other 3 buttons after. It was actually pretty cool, doing omens different ways, doing electrics the way that you do it, which is forward and then you hold down. You hold down on the stick. You hold forward, down, down, forward, and 2. It's actually really cool being able to do electrics with this really simple command. It's a little awkward at first. It's weird because I find it hard to do wave dashes on player 1 side with the method that I found, or with the method that I remember people showing me. But on player 2 side, it's super easy. It's forward and then roll these 2 buttons. It becomes super easy. It's very weird. But there are some, it seems like there are some aspects of this which do help you have sort of an advantage over, I guess, normal players, but it's probably nothing more. It's probably about the same as a hitbox, to be honest. But it's really fun to explore the kind of options that you can do, trying to figure out how to do certain inputs and what have you when it comes to, especially like when it comes to Tekken. So wave dashing, the various ways that you can wave dash is cool. The various ways that I did Omen and Just Frame Skyrocket, Korean backdashing, all that kind of stuff. It's interesting. It's one of those things where you're not going to be cheating on this thing. It should be tournament legal. I think it's good enough as it is. If you're somebody with big hands, it's probably fine. I feel like it could benefit from being on the smaller side when it comes to buttons, maybe 24 millimeters on the D-pad buttons, like I said. But that's really all I have to say about the hitbox or the cross-up. It's good at what its price tag is going to be. I believe they said it's going to be, I believe it's going to be 200, at least on the site it says. It's good at that price, and it'll be fun to experiment and see what kind of shenanigans you can get up to practicing on this thing. I might do some modification to this. I might try making my own cross-up where I try 24 millimeter buttons and try, you know, various different mixture of button combinations. That'll be kind of an interesting video, I think. But until I finalize how to do that, I'm going to go ahead and end the video. If you liked it, you can like it, dislike it if you did. Comment down in the comments section for what else you want to see on the channel. I got another video possibly coming out the last day of the year. That'll be the last video of the year. Something that some people have been wanting to see. So make sure to stay tuned for that. You know, get subscribed, click the bell notification. I'll let you know when stuff comes out. There'll be other videos in the end card as well as the card that's like up here or whatever. That's if I have anything relevant to show, maybe the hitbox, whatever. The last video I did mod a hitbox and I fixed it. It was having issues. You can see that. That was the last video. And yeah, with that, you can follow us on Twitch. There's Patreon that I still need to actually work on. I keep saying that, but I still haven't done it. Let me know what you guys would want to see on that thing, if it is even worth to try and promote that. I feel like it would actually help for building the channel, but whatever. We have Twitch. I already said that. You can follow us, same name. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. I'll see you guys in the next video, and then I'll see you guys in 2020. So until then, take care, guys. Happy holidays, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.